there was no referral point of having arrested the former president in the country. So we had to really allow the officers to draw out of their strength, out of their wisdom, the best teachings that could have been there, and every other background that they've known. I want to say, almost from 2 o'clock, the South African Police Service members took over the control of the situation. Major General Zulu was inside the homestead, where he was doing all what was supposed, including negotiating with the family, with the president, the former president himself, so to make sure that it doesn't reach the point where enforcement will be the only thing, because enforcement has to be weighed, as the Constitution said, together with the safety of the inhabitants of the land. We had to balance those two. Thanks that those diplomats, that kind of approach, it worked, as we were expecting that the police together will agree with the former president to leave the house at about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All that time the report was that it's happening, and fortunately around about 20 past, 40 minutes towards time, which we were ready, by the way, the world must understand, we were ready to implement. As I've said, we were not going to defy the Constitutional Court decision, otherwise that would create anarchy and chaos in the country when the enforcement agencies beginning not to listen to the law of the land.
Minister, do you regret in hindsight writing that letter to the Constitutional Court, given the fact that you've now arrested the former president, which means you were never confused or you never needed clarity on what needed to be done? So in hindsight, do you regret doing that? Because at this present moment, it seems as though you were trying to play politics through your office by writing that letter, which you didn't have to in the first place, and you've actually executed what you were told to do in the first place.
Well, look, I'm not Solomon of the Bible that owns all the wisdom. In that letter, we did just one thing, to seek the clarity. I'm not going to stand here and bash the court, but the decision was taken by the court to say the former president hands himself over. These are the days, failing which the law enforcement, they're coming these days. There was no but and if. There was no 12th coming in. There was no Maritzburg court coming in. So that's clouded our understanding. So we had to seek the clarification, which had nothing to do with the undermining. We knew what was our instruction. But that instruction was given before these other processes. So we just wanted, we don't regret. If we were there to seek the clarification, we cannot be accused of seeking the clarification. Clarification did come to say that those new processes have nothing to do with what was put by the court, hence we implemented, and we don't regret at all.
Let's give other people a chance. Go ahead.
Minister, on the way forward, we see the mushrooming of protests around the province this morning, especially here. It seems as if it's very big here in Mbangen. What can you tell us about those protests, and how are the police officers going to deal with those protesters?
And who are you again, my brother?
It's Mlondi Khate from the SABC.
Thank you.
Well, as I've said, Mlondi, there are few of these mushrooming. There are few of these mushrooming protests, and police are here. I think the Deputy National Commissioner and the Mkhwanazi of the ORS, there are too many Mkhwanazis here, and around here is Nkosiaka Mkhwanazi again. So, and the PC Mkhwanazi, they'll work on that some of the forces that were supposed to go back to their provinces, maybe they keep them a little bit longer. What you talk about this morning, that was big, I'm not very sure. How big was it? 14 trucks were blocked here. Some group of people were moving around, taking the keys of those trucks. 13 of those people, Mlondi, are arrested as we speak. Unfortunately, there are 2 young ladies among them. From them, we found the keys of the trucks. So they were part of that. So those people that are doing that, we want to expand our approach to them. We want to make this an economic sabotage. Maybe it's important that people like the DPCI, Hawks, are invited so that we work together with the NPA. We want to make it, from our side, a very serious kind of crime. If it needs to be, those people, they go in prison for a very long time. But we believe that police are handling that very well up to this point.
Thank you, Minister. I'll take the hand at the back, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
My name is Taban Kumodo. Minister, just to check the number I'm a police now is only the investigation corner is all over the province. I enough to deal with the situation.
Well, up to this point, we have been dealing with the situation. You know what happened at Escort. You know what happened at Duguza. You know what happened here. We are very satisfied. Maybe it's exactly what I've said, to say we did have the extra police. The management of the police will be dealing how long do they keep those here until we believe that the thing is stabilized. But we are very satisfied with the strength and the level of the police so far.
Okay, Minister, we'll take a hand over here.
Minister Oren Singh from the Sunday Times, just seeking clarity. You said Major General Zulu was in the homestead of former President from around 2 p.m. You know that about 11:15 he had left in that home, that motorcade. So I just want to see clarity, were negotiations ongoing from 2 p.m. until 11:15, or had Major General left shortly after 2 p.m.?
Major General directed the whole operation, was part of the convoy as it was left. It was still directed by the Major General.
Okay, I hope that's clear. There's a question.
My name is Namsa Masego from BBC News. I'm sorry I got here late. You probably answered the question, General, but I wanted to ask you, how many officers have you deployed in the province, and why did you see the need or the importance to do that and to do that now?
How many? Definitely, Mama Sego, is not for you. They are enough. But there are other structures that inform the policing, your intelligence and all that. We would be informed, as I'm saying, that most of the officers you see here would have come from other places. Are we sending them back or not? Not yet. We agree on that because of the information that would have reached us to keep them and work with them and give us an extra energy, some extra hand to deal with the matters. As you say, they are jumping all over the country. We know there are few areas that I'm not going to mention that might be the hot spots than other areas. That we're working according to that understanding.
Sure, Minister. We do have some colleagues who just joined us. I believe, go ahead, Daphne.
Thanks. Minister, apologies for getting here late.
And you are?
I guess those protests along the way delayed us a little bit. So again, like my colleague just said, some of these things may have been answered already, but we were with a group that was protesting on Sunday, and they had made their way along the N3, or rather the N2, and they had stopped along the way, and there were these disruptions that took place for long periods of time. So I just want to clarify the police's stance on how they were approaching it. We have seen those reports saying that police had to manage the situation very sensitively because of the large numbers, just to prevent any bloodshed. But then it also creates this other perception in that if there are enough numbers, that the laws can be broken to a certain extent. I just want to get a response on that.
Well, as I've said, that we respond. The question of time for the very long time and all that, police would not be in particular every place, every time. But the response of the police is also crucial. I think you were there when they responded at Escort yesterday. They responded at KwaZulu-Natal. They might behave longer. They have responded here as you come. We have explained that 13 people have already arrested here. With 2 ladies, we found the keys from those ladies. The trucks were taken with 14. They've gone down. We're talking to the companies to give us the spare keys and all that. Some will be there maybe before the action. Some will be there after the action. There was, I think, another one, N3, around yesterday around the pavilion, where police, they also acted. One must raise this, that there is a lot of criminality that is pitching on and niching on this thing. For instance, those that were around N3, they also tried to loot the shops at a pavilion. Those that they were at KwaDukuza, they looted some shops at KwaDukuza town before they went to N2. So there is that criminality. So that's why the police needs to be really tough, act quick on that one. But we will continue to say, as less blood, as less force as we can. But if we are forced to pull the gear up in terms of the enforcement, we will do that on behalf of South Africans and make sure that South Africans remain safe.
All right, Minister, as we bring this to a close, let me just see if there are fresh hands, and then I will take your follow-ups. Go ahead, my brother. And please, just introduce yourself so the minister knows who he's talking to. We do have masks on, and he would like to know who he's referring to.
Minister, John from Ilanga newspaper. Ngicela ukwazi Minister ukuthi lama social MPs akhempe lapha ngaphandle kwaMsholozi. Mhlambe singabona uminister ewahlakaza nini?
Lawo masosha kuzofanele abanikazi bawo bawasusa. Bathi abe ANC usho ukuthi ANC kuzofanele isisize. But when they begin to break the law, mabephula umthetho, as we heard ukuthi abanye ngeweekend babe dubula phezulu and all that, kuzofanele siyenze. But enye into engayikhumbuza, that's a national key point. At a certain given point, the decision oyibuzayo will have to be taken. I don't know ukuthi bahlaleleni lapha ngoba umsholozi akekho lapha anyway.
Okay, the last questions, Minister. Zianda, you'll have
Zianda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa again. Minister, just for clarity's sake, please explain what protocols officers are meant to follow when executing arrests, in particular for those breaching COVID-19 regulations. I'm asking this because you've referred to the arrest that happened yesterday of Mr. Carl Niehaus, but he was the only one arrested and not the entire group. And why was he the only one arrested? And this is against the context and the criticism that this inconsistency. You arrested Mr. Niehaus on the spot. 2 weeks ago, the EFF had a protest. No one was arrested. On Sunday, you've already tried to explain that you had to avoid using force. But yesterday, you arrested Mr. Niehaus alone and not the entire group. So how exactly are you doing this?
The police must arrest you, Mangob. But they must also assess the situation. It doesn't mean that if you are not arrested here where we are not going to be arrested. Police must at all times try as much as they can to avoid the confrontation and make sure that as they effect the arrest, there is less confrontation with surroundings. If they assess and they find out that there will be no such resistance, there will be no such response, they will effect the arrest there and there. If not, they will still come back for you. For instance, PCs here, cases have been open with Nkandla, and those people are being pursued. I think we have opened 3 cases up to this point, and then working with the NPA, we are also opening the inquiry and all that. With the march of the EFF, cases have been opened, and we are investigating. I hear people saying, what are you investigating when you have seen what has happened? That's a part of investigation. That's what happened in South Africa. The law of South Africa, never said Zianda killed so and so. The law says Zianda allegedly killed so and so. It's a law, it's not the police who think so. Until we investigate, and those visuals, those videos you talk about are part of the investigation going forward. So it depends on the situation that will be assessed. Does it have any danger that the police might have to go to bloody situation. Please avoid it, but continue to do the work. Can it happen now? Yes. So it will be 2. But second, the regulation says people must be arrested as they break the law. But the regulation also emphasizes the point on organizers, Mango. On organizers. That's why in the taxi industry, we deal with the driver if there are people that not having the mask. The driver is the first respondent. So what was established yesterday is that Colony House organized about 100 people, and the law is very clear at the present moment. Except the funerals, nobody organize, other people assess and then implement as it happened yesterday.
All right, colleagues, we'll leave it there. Oh.
Can we have money?
Okay, sure. Just give him a question.
Minister, uma ngase nje mhlawumbe usichaze nje afishane ukuthi umsebenzi wamaphoyisa kuleli sonto elidlule kuze kube namhlanje uhambe kanjani?
Amaphoyisa swethulela isiqhoko. Si leadership ministry as a deputy minister nama lead management yamaphoyisa ngomsebenzi owenzile. Lamaphoyisa obuwabonela ayelandelwe ukuthi azolungisa enze isinqumo esasesinikwe yinkantolo. Lamaphoyisa la aphuma kwi-ORS okusho ukuthi ama-specials operations lawa ala ekuline wamaphoyisa ukuthi mawusufike sezifike kwangqingetshe izinto kube yiwo aqhubekayo. Kodwa abantu abaningi abangakwazi ukuthi ngelanga lelo lokugcina sathumela intokazi yakwaZulu uMajor General Zulu asikucaze lo ukuthi intokazi esayithumela yayothatha yalungisa isimo kusuka ngo2 kuze kuzoshona ilanga esiphambe ngaphakathi bebamsane kakhulu nomkhuzi wamaphoyisa kwiprovince ubaba uMkhwanazi nomkhuzi wamaphoyisa uzwelonke jikelele ubaba uKhehla. Owakubona kwenzeka kwakuyimphumela yamaphoyisa well ngiyezwa kuchazwa ukuyinikela kwamangameli ubaba umsholozi nokwamaphoyisa akukona kwami ukukuteleka engikwaziyo ukuthi umsholozi wayenikwa ithuba lokuzihambisa kuze kube isonto sabe siya instructor sajutshwa thina ukuthi uma ngenzeki lokho angashaya u12 ebusuku ngesonto njengoba engashayanga u12 so sanelisekile kakhulu indlela amaphoyisa aziphatha ngayo nomcimba ophatha ngayo ikakhulu uMajor General Zulu kwakuyena ngaphakathi kwesinye isikhathi owayeshaya ucingo akhombisa ukuthi naye usenencindezi ufrustratekile kodwa waqhubeka wenza umsebenzi ukuthi akukwebhekanga umuntu.
Police Minister again thrust into the spotlight about the fairness or the lack thereof about carrying out arrests, meaning that arresting certain individuals and leaving others out. I mean, that's in response or in relation to the arrest of Mkhonto Wesizwe Military Veterans Association spokesperson Carl Niehaus yesterday for allegedly flouting lockdown regulations, yet he wasn't the only one there. And Cele was quite adamant that he does not regret writing a letter to the Constitutional Court about the arrest of Jacob Zuma because he argues that it was for purposes of seeking clarity about, about the legalities around the case.